The remaining 11 chapters are all about the humans, the individual, the mom who died leaving behind orphans, the
I see.
orphans who lost their parents and were swept up in human trafficking, the wife who was locked in lockdown with her abusive husband and
Mm-hmm.
pushed down the stairs and had a broken ankle. You know, the real human stories,
The stories.
the
Yeah.
real cost of the pandemic,
Right.
which is easy to forget.
Yes.
And you, as an ER physician, would have seen these stories, so you
Yes.
know what I'm talking about. I saw it at a primary care perspective. You saw it probably when it was even more intense, right at the moment of trauma itself.
Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified when the next video comes out. It only takes 2 seconds to make 2 clicks. So let's do it. Let's get back to the video. Hello, Fearless Freedom Tribe. This is Dr. G, and we are back with another exciting episode of the Fearless Freedom with Dr. G podcast. Today, we have Dr. Ravi Iyer, and he's going to tell us all about himself and all of the things that he is up to. Take it away.
Thank you, Sharon. My name is Dr. Ravi Iyer. I'm an internist and I practice in Virginia. Among other things, in my past, I've been a chairman of the Department of Medicine. I run a clinic in Northern Virginia, which during the pandemic was uh, one of the busiest community centers for treatment and testing of COVID, including. Um, and one of the innovations we did was we actually extended our surveillance and testing and treatment into mobile services that extended into house calls of patients with COVID. People who could not come out of their house, not sick enough to go to the hospital, but not well enough to come to the office. We went out to them. And the lessons we learned informed a lot of my decisions on what emerged post-pandemic. And one of the things that became very apparent to me and my team was that an entire dialogue on how we treat each other needs to be there. An entire dialogue on how we relate to threats need to be there. And a lot of conversation needs to be happening on fundamental issues of science and technology that was fraught with a lot of disinformation and misinformation. So uh, to begin that process, it became very apparent to me that I wanted to spend the rest of my career. I'm fairly mature in my life, so I felt that I needed to take my platform more public than where I was on a one-on-one. I was very successful. I still am. We see between 20 to 40 patients a day. We're busy. And
That's busy. That's
a
busy.
light day today was a light day, and that was ended at 25. That was a light day. And so 40 is a busy day. During the pandemic, we were seeing a 100 per day.
Wow.
So, and when I say we, it is just me. I have a team of 5 people, but I'm the only provider.
I
So
see.
So there is one
That
doctor
is a lot.
managing.
That is a
There is
lot.
one doctor managing 100. As an ER physician, you can understand what that means.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So one of the things I decided at the end of 2022 is to distill all our experiences into a book that I wrote called The Reaper's Dance, 1000 Days of COVID. It's doing well on Amazon. It's look it up.
Congratulations. What's it called again?
Yeah,
Say it
yeah,
again.
yeah,
Do you have a
it's
copy of it right there? The Reaper's
Reaper's
Dance.
Dance.
Wow.
Reaper's
Okay.
Dance.
I thought you said Reapers. What? That's
Yeah, yeah,
impactful. Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
Yes, you can
it's
see
an
it.
um and it's been very well received, cited extensively, and it's a non-fiction book, and has over 120 citable references in it, and so there's no uncorroborated information. Whatever is stated is corroborated, and it's well received and has been cross-cited by several organizations that are involved in investigative work on COVID. Um, Having said that,
Hmm.
um, you know, there is right now in the US a growing appreciation that we are woefully unprepared as far as biological threats are concerned. Whether it is natural or accidental or deliberate, in all three categories, we are woefully unprepared. We have a scientific community that has so far enjoyed the relative freedom of operating without very rigorous oversight, on a more of being allowed to self-police themselves into how they conduct science, um, under a patchwork of regulations that are primarily governed by the institutions where they work. So every university lab oversees the conduct of its own scientists, and such arrangements are fraught with conflicts of interest,
Sure.
especially when the university has a vested interest in a lot of the grant money that comes through, and integrity of research, the conduct of research, whether the research is being done in a safe manner, especially when people are dealing with organisms that can escape, um, when they're manipulating organisms to produce organisms that can be more virulent than their parent organism. All of these, I do not believe that these experiments should not be done. It is, I think, so if somebody asks me, should gain of function research not be done? The answer is no, it should be. The question is how you do it. It is like saying you want to play with fire. Yes, you need to play with fire. You need to learn how to manage fire, but you cannot play with fire irresponsibly. You cannot play with fire without safeguards. And it is now emerging in terms of the COVID pandemic that that was what exactly happened. That
Mm.
the fires, that nature's fires were dabbled in without uh, without true comprehension of the magnitude of what was being entered into, and B, with a rather naive idea that people would be able to control it when not being overcautious in the management of it. So, and so there were So there is now major shift in the legislative thinking, and there
Hmm.
are multiple organizations talking about it, including trying to raise public awareness, of which I am now involved. So I'm very much involved in trying to raise public awareness. So part of me coming and talking to you today is partly to amplify that message and to bring the dialogue to a more conscious level that each one of us, see, we have just spent 3 years, all of us have spent 3 years at great cost, at great personal cost. Everyone has had family members who have, at the very minimum, fallen sick, some of them very dangerously ill, and some of them fatally
Yeah.
ill. We have all suffered the loss of personal freedoms. We have suffered the loss of income. We have suffered the loss of psychological development, educational development, uh, career progress. All of that has happened. So I don't need to come up there and tell people that, hey, everyone has paid a price. But
Right.
we can't just say, oh, we have paid a price and now it's behind us. No, we have a responsibility as citizens to step up and say, hey guys, all of you who are continuing to play with science in this manner, how are you doing it? Is there a transparent dialogue? How can the general public be involved in that dialogue? Can we tell our elected representatives that, hey, we need a little bit more carefulness in the way the people are allowed, and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, no, this is great. And then, so how are you? So through the book is one avenue. Are you doing other things that are raising awareness? Are you speaking? Are you like, how are you going about this mass distribution of the information?
So the book is one,
Mhm.
like you said. This podcast is one of examples. For example, since July, this is the 25th podcast that I've been on.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
So yeah. So I've been very, very active, roughly about 2 to 3 podcasts a week
Oh,
in the
that's
evenings.
plenty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So trying to get the message out. Uh, I speak at local gatherings.
Okay.
Um, uh, I speak about the book. The book is unique in one respect because there are several books on COVID already out there, but most of the other books talk about the science. They talk about virus, they talk about epidemiology, they talk about lab leak, or they talk about politics, they talk all of that. My book is focused on the human cost. So there is a major section on gain of function research and the idea that this might have accidentally been released. But that is not the thrust of the book. There are, of the 13 chapters, the chapters that are actually focusing on the virus and gain of function are only two. The remaining 11 chapters are all about the humans, the individual, the mom who died leaving behind orphans, the
I see.
orphans who lost their parents and were swept up in human trafficking, the wife who was locked in lockdown with her abusive husband and
Mhm.
pushed down the stairs and had a broken ankle. You know, the real human stories,
The stories.
the
Yeah.
real cost of the pandemic,
Right.
which is easy to forget.
Yes.
And you, as an ER physician, would have seen these stories, so you
Yes.
know what I'm talking about. I saw it at a primary care perspective. You saw it probably when it was even more intense, right at the moment of trauma itself. So, there's a lot of, and that is the issue that I frequently say that the only reason that disease is important is because there's a human being affected by disease.
Correct. Yeah.
If there were no humans, what does it matter if there was a pandemic? The big deal. So the only reason for science is that it exists for the value of the human race. It is not there for the personal ego aggrandization or the personal intellectual satisfaction of a bunch of scientists. We are not here to just marvel at how clever somebody can be. It is how can you use your cleverness for the benefit of the human race? And how can you do that safely? That is the real question. And there's plenty of examples of how clever human beings are, but there are not too many examples of how safe they are when they are being clever. So the, the time the time has come to demonstrate. Okay, now you have shown us how brilliant you can be. Now let's see how safe you can be while you're being brilliant. And
There,
that's the
yes,
whole idea.
I
So,
see.
in addition to the podcast, I speak at public gatherings. I'm a member of the American Association of Biosafety Security and Biosafety,
Okay.
a large organization, and I volunteer in some of their committees. So that is the story. I mean, how else do you get it? You get it by going and pounding the pavement and talking, and
Yes.
you talk as eloquently as you can. You talk as passionately as you can. You try to connect with the feelings and emotions of people, such that they begin to understand. The human race lives in the narratives, and right now there is a need for the narrative of the pandemic. Otherwise, it'll get forgotten,
Yeah.
and the lessons will get forgotten. And the people who can bring the narrative forward are the storytellers of society, the authors, the podcast hosts and podcast guests, the lecturers, the people who can go make a movie out of it, or create a some kind of a story out of it. So that's the storytellers are the people who can immortalize lessons for humanity to learn from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have had stories from the beginning. So we love those. So you're right. That is a great way to keep the memory alive and to keep acknowledgement. Because I mean, if it's out of sight, it's definitely out of mind. It just particularly in this day and age when things are so there's no delayed gratification anymore. There's no like let's think back to our past and learn from those lessons. Like there isn't really much of that. So constantly having the narrative in the forefront is gonna keep that alive. So we don't make those mistakes again, and hopefully we improve so that if we are faced with something as crazy as what we went through just now, we are prepared. So yeah, no, thank you for contributing to sharing the story and sharing about keeping us kind of foot to the fire instead of just becoming complacent about it.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because the human nature doesn't like to dwell on painful experiences.
Right.
We want to move on to happy times. It's the nature of
Yes.
human beings to want to be happy. And one of the things that when you're dealing with difficult stories, it is important to tell the story without terrifying people. It is important to tell the story with compassion and hope. It is important to tell the story with the right mix of urgency with hope. Yeah, it requires a little bit of skill, but it also requires a lot of heart and compassion. But it's a doable thing, and it is a
Yes.
necessary thing. It is
Absolutely.
necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, it's Dr. G, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank you for listening to this episode. I'm so honored to have you here with me. Did you know that I can help you to get your own podcast started? With my podcasting launch course for professionals, I walk you through everything you need to know about starting a podcast. I'm with you every step of the way, from sign up to launching your show, with 5 episodes ready to go. There's a done for you version that's also available. If you would just rather just do recordings and leave the behind the scenes work up to us, then that one is definitely for you. But either way, we've got your back here at Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Oh, if you already have a show and you need production services, we have monthly plans available for you. So check out the links in the episode show notes for more information. Let's get back to the show. That's fantastic. And so, I'm always curious. I mean, I know what we went through from like the emergency department side, and personally as a physician, going through that whole experience. But I'm always curious about how, like, were there any fears that you had to face during that time, and how did you do it? Like, how did you do it? Because it's a funny thing, because we may have a lot of them, but then the question is like, how did we get past them? How did we deal with them? How did we overcome them? How do we face them? So I'm always curious to hear that perspective.
So the pandemic, I knew on March 8th. See, the pandemic was officially declared a pandemic in the US on March 10th of 2020. But I knew on March 8th that we were in a pandemic. And I sat my staff down and I said that, hey guys, this is different than what we have ever had before. And this is a virus that is airborne, and we have no treatment for it. People do not understand its biology just yet. The information on this virus is still emerging, so we don't know. It's an unknown virus, and we don't have any immunity. So, but I told the staff that, but it is my wish that I plan to keep my clinic open. I'm not going to close this. And I want to explain to you why I think we should do that. So I said that one of the things is, by closing the clinic, none of you are going to be any safer, because you'll go home and you are still going to live in society. And remember, you'll be going to the grocery store, you'll be going to the mall, you'll be somewhere, and you're going to get exposed to it. By closing the clinic, the only thing you'll be doing is you'll be losing income, and you'll be making yourself weaker in resources to fight the pandemic. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if we keep the clinic open, I can show you how to keep yourself safe. I will buy equipment. I will get equipment for you. I will equip you guys with the tools that you need to be safe in and out of the clinic. And before anyone knew it, because I have a past experience where I have worked with dangerous organisms. I'm a researcher. I have an MD and a PhD, a doctoral degree in biochemistry, molecular biology, and vaccine technology, and so on and so forth. So because of that, I knew what was needed. So I before all the stocks ran out, I placed orders and I got my supplies.
Oh, okay.
I went on to Alibaba and placed an order for a PAPR unit, for two PAPR units at $150 a unit, as compared to $1,500 for PAPR units.
That's
here.
Incredible. That's incredible.
Just $900 got me two PAPR units.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then, because I knew biochemistry, we made pre-filters, and I found a methodology of soaking them in copper sulfate solution with zinc sulfate, and evaporating that, such that we had a microfilm, nanoparticles of copper and zinc on a pre-filter that we put onto the intake valves of the PAPR unit. So the air that the PAPR unit was taking in before it went into the HEPA filter, it was going
already getting infiltrated somehow.
It was going through a copper and zinc ion impregnated fabric before it will go through. And in that fabric, we also put turmeric powder. So it was really virucidal before it was coming in. So the air that was coming to our masks were pre-filtered and all that. So we really did something. And Lysol and stuff was not available, but guess what? Swimming pool disinfectant was available in the concentrate by the gallon. Nobody knew,
Interesting.
nobody knew to go for that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I knew it's the same thing. If you can disinfect a swimming pool and swim in it, it is
That's
safe to
right.
spray on
Yeah.
yourself. It is safe
That's
to
yeah.
spray on yourself.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we took that swimming pool disinfectant and just diluted it and spray bottles. And we had we didn't have overalls, PPEs,
Yeah, the
but
Tyvex.
yeah, the Tyvex, that is so expensive.
Yeah.
What we did was we bought snow gear, snow wind cheaters and
Yeah.
snow pants. That's good enough.
That is good enough.
It's it is impervious. It is impervious, and we wore that on top of our clothes. And when we had a buddy system. Where one person is testing the patient and going in close. The other person is staying there. As soon as the swab is taken off and put into the vial, we spray each other with our swimming pool disinfectant right on the clothes, and we go back. Then the other thing was on the cars.
Yeah.
We got a piece of plastic, simple plastic, and we put magnetic tape on top of that, and we slapped it onto the window. So now there's a curtain of plastic, and we only put our hands in through the curtain. So the patient is inside, and this curtain of plastic is there, and we are outside with our mask, but we have this curtain of plastic between us and the car and the occupant. So now essentially we converted the car into a mobile hood, into a
Right.
mobile
Yeah.
biosafety cabinet by just putting a piece of. So we did all of this,
Wow, that's so impressive.
and we did this so cheaply. We did this so cheaply. We just did this right there, and it was working. It was working.
Wow. That's amazing. That's
We
amazing.
bought UVC bulbs,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
we hung them in a closet. Every one of our staff, when they came in, they would come in, go into that closet, take out their clothes completely down to their underwear. They would just undress down to the underwear, hang up the clothes, take off their shoes and their socks, and change into a complete set of work clothes and work socks and work shoes. The shoes were garden
Okay.
rubber
Okay.
shoes,
Oh, I
rubber
see. Okay.
garden rubber garden shoes, because those garden shoes we could step into a Rubbermaid trays with disinfectant and disinfect our feet as we walked around. So, and we would turn on the UV light for exactly 15 minutes that would irradiate their
Yeah.
home
Okay.
clothes
Yeah.
while they are working. Now, when they come back at the end of the day, they take off their work clothes, hang it up, turn on the light, and go home. 15 minutes of radiation of their clothes, of their
Yeah.
work clothes. And this went on every day.
Wow. Wow. That's
We
awesome.
never
That
closed.
is
We never
so
closed.
awesome. So awesome.
And
And
none of
how
my
beautiful that is
staff.
for your community. I mean, as you're telling me this, I'm thinking to myself, wow, what an impact on the community that had.
Awesome. It was phenomenal. See, the one biggest impact was that the patients, when they came and they saw us dealing with COVID fearlessly, with compassion and without fear, and continuing to remain safe, it was so inspiring for them. Even though when they did not have, there was no medicine.
Right.
Paxlovid did not come out until February of
That's
2021.
right. That's right.
I mean, no vaccine until December 13th of 2020. All right.
Yes.
I got my vaccine only December 24th. So there was no treatment. March to December, there was no treatment and no immunity at all. So for the public to see us dealing with 100 patients a day on a daily basis, outside in the parking lot, outside of the clinic, inside the clinic, all around, going to homes. We, in our house calls, we had these pop-up tents that we use in camp showers for privacy, for as a shower
Okay.
in the while camping. We used that as our changing room. So we took that in our car. I went to the house of the patient who's sick. On their driveway, we would pop up the tent, step in, change into our gear, and then walk into the patient's home, take care of the patient, then come out, go into the tent, undress back into our office clothes, and then pack up everything and then take it home, back to the clinic. So we
Nice.
translated our infection control and personal safety protocols to go wherever we went, even into environments where there was no that we did not have total control over the environment. We
Right,
could
right.
we could we it doesn't matter whether we owned that space or not. We owned the space around us, so we controlled that space, and because of that we could create this bubble of safety and go wherever we wanted.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And I mean, the other thing, I mean, you just by doing that, the impact, and then the impact also on your staff. Because now, I mean, your staff, I mean, they're like that, the training that they got from just that experience alone, I mean, that's like invaluable. They wouldn't have gotten that anywhere else, I don't think.
No,
Because the usual,
but
like when they do, and this is not a criticism by any means, but like when the infectious disease, when they go over barrier protection, things like that, and they go over like safety protocols when dealing with, airborne illnesses, it's very, it's very limited to usually what can you do in the hospital, right? And with the materials provided in the hospital. And so for you all to have done this, kind of like MacGyvering it. I don't know if you ever seen that show back in the
yeah,
80s, but it's
yeah.
kind of like you MacGyvered it, right? Like
Can I
you
show you?
used what
Can I
you
show you
had.
something? Can
Yeah,
I
sure.
show
Go
you
ahead.
something?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Actually, you know what? Let me send you the link on the chat.
Okay.
We made a video. So what we did was, at the height of COVID, there was so much depression. The people were
Oh
so
yeah. That was
they had,
horrible.
people were so depressed about their outcome, about how poorly they did, and how they were locked up and no hope at all. So we decided to make a video to cheer people up.
Oh, really?
So my staff one day, they said, let's take a quick using our phones, let's record what we did, and we'll put it together in a quick little iMovie and post it up. We posted this video. We called it Ghostbusters. We put the track of Ghostbusters to it,
Oh,
um,
nice.
and called it the COVID Busters. And
Nice.
I'm trying to find the video. Just a second.
Yeah,
There,
sure, sure. No, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Love it.
that's it. Let me share the link.
Yeah, if you send a link, I'll put up here and share it. So that means if you're listening, you have to go to the YouTube channel because that's the only way you're gonna see it. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we
It's
go.
on Vimeo. Yeah, there's a link.
Yes. Okay, got it.
I just play it
Let me just get it loaded so that I can play it.
and share, and can you see?
Yes, I see where it says that you're sharing, and yes, now I see
Can
it.
you can you hear sound?
And I can hear it. Fantastic. That's awesome. It's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's phenomenal. Oh, I think people are gonna really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's great. That's great. Oh my gosh. This has been quite a lovely conversation. Oh man. I think that's the first time I've had a video being shared on my podcast. So that's great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, this is like and then can you show the book one more time? Because I want people to go and look this book up now that we've talked about it and everything. Awesome. The Reaper's Dance, 1000 Days of COVID. Okay, so it's available on all of the platforms. So definitely go check it out. Awesome. 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 Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. This has been an amazing conversation, and I really appreciate you taking time out and spending and sharing with us. And I really, really, really appreciate your creativity and ingenuity and how you were able to impact your community in such a meaningful and large way, you know, for months, for maybe even years, because the thing went on for quite a while, you know.
Yeah.
So that was quite a long time that you were doing this. And so, you know, if nobody said thank you, I want to say thank you to you, because
Thank you to you.
It's definitely it's no small potatoes at all. So
no, thank you to you. My message to you, your audiences, wherever they are, is you are the architect of your life. You are the person who will keep yourself safe, your family safe. You cannot rely on an outside agency to keep you safe. One of the first things you need to do is learn and educate yourself and advocate for yourself and advocate for your family members and for your fellow people. We are only as strong as our weakest link. We are all our brothers keepers. Literally, you can't be safe if other people are unsafe. So you have to remember that. You can't go around saying that, oh, it's all about me and, you know, my freedoms, my privileges, and devil take the hindmost. That simply cannot bring safety to anyone. That's important. And then lastly, please shoot an email to your representative in Congress. Tell them that biosafety and biosecurity matters. It is important. Tell them that they have to institute the proper safeguards so that our scientists, as they continue to probe the farthest frontiers of nature, the frontiers of nature have to be breached. They have to go. I mean, I will be the first one to say that science must continue, but not the way it has been done so far. And definitely not using a unilateral stakeholder determining safety. Because COVID is not like COVID produced 25 million dead. You know, Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed 250,000. And that just 250,000 dead produced the International Atomic Energy Commission and all the safeguards and all the oversight and controls over nuclear work globally with real enforcement capability. Where nations can just go in and say, hey, I'm going to shut you down if you don't allow us to inspect your facility. Whereas in COVID, we had 25 million dead, and we still don't have the guidelines. We don't have a centralized mechanism of oversight. There is a huge surge in biological, in high-risk biological labs all over the world right now. COVID produced that. There's a huge rise in biosafety level labs all over the world. and no one is overseeing these labs in an integrated manner. So Congress has begun the process, but we need to engage with them. We need to shoot an email to them, say that, hey, listen to us. Don't forget where we are from.
Awesome. That's a great call to action. Absolutely. Yeah, no. That and I think a lot of times we don't necessarily feel like, oh, if we send something, it'll make a difference, but it really does. It really does make a difference when you send a correspondence to your representative, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we are at that part of our show where we do a tradition. Are you ready? Are you ready for the tradition?
All right. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. It's the fill in the blanks. All right.
Okay.
So the first one is, if I am fearless, I will.
I will stand firm in the front of adversity.
Awesome. The next one is, to me, fearless freedom means
Be an advocate for yourself and compassionate warrior for everyone else around you.
Love it. And the last one is, my battle cry is
educate and protect.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that you do, for taking time out and talking with us, for sharing that awesome video, all the things. And looking forward to seeing you continue to make an impact.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this evening with you very, very much.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Again, I'm Dr. G. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe so that you can get notified of when the next episode is going to be. And also, I'll catch you next time. Have a great one. Be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.